A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Well, there's a lot to talk about on the show tonight. Let me attempt a quick rundown while I wait for my partner, Osinokona Akpan, to join in. Tonight, we'll talk about the English Premier League currently going on, talking about the top four race. Tottenham Hotspur currently, dismantling Arsenal as it is. Over 60 minutes of football played, and it's 3-0 in favour of Spurs. This is a North London derby, and it's going one way, just one way as it is. All right, let's also tell you about the decision the federal government made today with regards basketball, pulling Nigeria out of all international competition. Of course, basketball entering into the wilderness for the next 2 years. We'll talk about the implications of that decision on the show tonight. We'll also talk about Professional Football Association of Nigeria, their representatives talking about the way football is run in Nigeria. The guys really calling for a change. We'll also go on to talk about yesterday what happened in the English Premier League, some reactions from the matches played, and also we will also give you a slice of tennis. We'll also, if we have time, talk about Haaland. The worst kept secret is going to Manchester City, all things being equal. But of course, Dortmund, of course, reacting to that as well. We'll listen to the manager of Dortmund as well, speaking that, well, life goes on after Haaland, exits the club. That's the outlook of the show tonight. We urge you to sit back, relax, as we put things together for your viewing pleasure on the show. Again, while I wait for Austin Konakwan to join in, let me quickly introduce my partner in the Lagos studio. Bolu Omoni joins me this lovely Thursday evening to talk about everything in the world of sports. Bolu, great to see you. Thanks for being here. A lot really happening today.
Well, a lot is happening. First, for Kane in Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Was that intended?
Well,
was that pun intended?
I think it just came like that. And Benzema doing the Lord's work again for Real Madrid. Remember, I didn't play the last match. And like you rightly said, the biggest has to be the decisions today. The yeses amongst everything, the no's. I think we have more no's than yeses. And again, well, probably when we get into it, we'll get the details. But I hope everything just, I'm sure when we get in there, when we get deeper, we'll look at the why it shouldn't have been and why it is. Hopefully, we all get to see the positives at the end of the day.
Then again, for every action, there's a reaction. I'm very sure the federal government and by extension, the sports ministry also know that. And so you say 2 years, it might likely not be 2 years because international bodies also do not like this kind of decisions. But we'll get to that as we go on. First, let's talk about the North London derby that is going one way. Sadly, if you're an Arsenal fan watching this game tonight, I have the task of letting you know that they're receiving a hammering. Bolu said a caning. Well, if we could use that word. Let's just give to you the result as it is now. With your eyes and your ears, it's not looking good. Arsenal playing with a man down. Rob Holding has been red-carded immediately after Harry Kane scored, a few minutes after Harry Kane scored the first goal. It is life. That's what it is. Tottenham, the fans, any victory over Arsenal, surely the Tottenham fans will really enjoy it. And we knew this was always going to happen. But some feel this will not decide much if Arsenal can win their next 2 games. Because as it is, it doesn't look like they can get anything from this game.
Well, after now, it will be beyond surprise or shock if Arsenal, a man down, 3 goals down, had breaks from Harry Kane. I think the record from Holding was silly, could have been avoided. First yellow card, well, maybe, but not the second one, should have been avoided. And Son Heung-min scoring a good goal for the third. As it stands now, it will take beyond a miracle for Arsenal. If it was Spurs that was a man down, maybe a comeback story would be possible. Although, if there are 2 teams in England you can't trust, it has to be Spurs and Arsenal. But I don't think this one is happening today. And for Arsenal, the top 4 battle, this draw between Spurs and Liverpool, I think it was a win for both Arsenal and Man City. Why? Because Man City now are in the driver's seat. Personal opinion, I think they need 1 more win to win the title. Even if they lose the last match on 1, City will not lose 7, 8, 9-0.
It's not possible.
For Liverpool to close the gap, they're about 8 goals difference apart from Liverpool. So I think the league is done and dusted. And for Arsenal, if they can win, but the 2 games are kind of tough for Newcastle. Yeah, Newcastle are safe. But they've lost to Liverpool, they've lost to City. They will probably want to come back.
And Eddie Howe says the many matches are preparation for next season.
Yeah, exactly. If you'll be there for that next season. And for Everton, except Everton maybe wins their next game this weekend to secure or safeguard themselves off the relegation, maybe they could ease off a bit. But if they will need to win that game against Arsenal to secure qualification, it will be tough. But again, Arsenal somewhat, they've showed that when they lose and they pick themselves up, they go on a good run. And knowing that the Champions League is in front of them, I think they know what to do. They should know what to do. Rob Holding will probably not be missed. The English defender, Ben White is coming directly to the next game. So the game against Newcastle will be very key. If they can bounce back in that game, the last game should be a run.
Like you said, you also can't trust Spurs.
Yeah, I was saying to myself, they are playing Burnley, yes. They are playing Norwich on the final day. They can lose any of those games.
All right, so we'll see what happens in that one. But one question just before we go, Bolu. Do you think if Arsenal fails to nick this Champions League spot, how would you rate the season? Would you still say it was progress under Mikel Arteta?
First of all, making similar to what happened to Barcelona, similar to Juventus, the way they started the season, finishing in the top half would have been good to an extent based on how they started. Remember, Arsenal lost their first 2 games without conceding any goal. They were bottom of the table. And people were like, well, if we just get to even top half, we'll be excited. Suddenly they push, oh, we can make Europa League. It will be great. Until the Champions League talk started, then now everybody are not thinking Arsenal are not trustworthy. I think so far so good. It's been an amazing season for them. Compared to their other neighbors that were red, the Red Devils. Well, maybe because there's devil at the back. United season have been very, very poor. And India United may still narrowly make Europa League. United fans are telling me if they finish Europa League spot, they'll probably be excited. So I think Arsenal fans too should enjoy that. But again, until maybe the final day, we may not even know. Except they win their next game and Spurs lose. That's when Champions League will become. And I have a colleague of mine who will do his show with his underwears if Arsenal finish in the Champions League spot. So if for nothing, if for that one, I want Arsenal to finish in the Champions League.
Okay. All right. Arsenal Akpan is ready now. It's been smiling all the way, listening to what we have to say. And, of course, it's happening. His hand probably knows what we don't know. Greetings to you, Austin. Always feels good doing this with you.
Buddy. Spotty greetings to you, Yemi. You know, I live just close to White Hart Lane, and each time sports scores, I could hear the noise, you know, from the fans. What a night in the North London derby. We knew it was going to be difficult for Arsenal. It was going to be a hard one, and they made it harder for themselves. You know, Rob Holding, that red card was so annoying because it could have been avoided. The first yellow card was unnecessary. The second yellow card, stupid. You know, and when you're playing in this sort of game that is sensitive, that's got so much attached to it. Yes, I know this Mikel Arteta's team is young, but they've been doing so well mentally. I expected them to get into this game with that sort of mentality that they've been, you know, showing in fighting for a top 4 finish. So now it's difficult. 3-0, you know, Hurricane with 2 goals, and then Son with the 3rd goal for Tottenham. So I think there's still hope for Arsenal to finish in the top 4. It depends on how they approach their remaining games, but this is a big boost for Spurs. So let's see. It's the top 4, the team that wants it most with good show of character, determination, and unity of purpose can just go on to nick that 1st place. Hurricane and Tottenham, they really want to get back to the Champions League. If Arsenal had won tonight, they would have returned to the Champions League after missing out for 5 years, and that's massive, you know. So I thought they would have attached that sort of objective coming to White Hart Lane, but it is what it is. Let's see. It's not yet over. Leeds pushed Arsenal the same, but with 3-0 down, and what the time is saying, it's hard.
All right, before we go into the next discussion, which I don't know how long we're going to spend on that, a quick one, Austin. Arsenal, if Bolo has answered in his own way, and I think I agree with him to an extent. If Arsenal don't make the top 4, will you still consider this season progress under Mikel Arteta?
Of course I will. It's a good season. I like the way they picked themselves back up, you know, and I mentioned mental strength also. This is a very young team, and you can tell everyone is trying to do their beats. Eddie Nketiah picking up form when he needed to. Saka still doing his beats. Smith-Rowe still doing his beats, even to an extent. Partey joined the party. So look, everybody played with one purpose, and that was, you know, for the manager and for the club. If you look at this Arsenal team, since they spent money on Pepe, what have they really bought? What have they really spent? And then they lost a charismatic leader in Aubameyang, and they picked themselves back up, still contesting for fourth place. Bolu has called Manchester United, but I will not call them. Won't drag anybody into this conversation. But yes, should Arsenal miss out of top four, they should still be proud of themselves. But, I hate nearly. I hate we almost did it, because they had this in their hands, and now they will go back and look at that game against Southampton, look at that game against Brighton and say to themselves, if they had won those games, that would have been 6 points in the bag. That's why every match day is an opportunity for you to get better. But it's not yet over until it is over. So let's wait and see what the season will give. But in answering that question, if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'm going to give these guys a pat on their back and say, well done. You guys tried, and then let's see how they can get better next season.
Well, since my secret is out, I won't pretend to be neutral. I'm an Arsenal fan, and the truth is, if they don't make the top four, you don't get this close and just bungle it. So for me, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to take.
That's enough comfort for you. It's soothing to hear that your team tried.
Coming back from the Wenger
team, look at the team.
Listen to the pains of an Arsenal fan. Coming from the Wenger days, when in the middle of a season you are thinking of next season. So I would rather they make top four. I'd rather they make top four. And so let's move on so that I can go back to being neutral. All right, so let's talk about basketball now. Austin, back home, interesting things happen here in Nigeria. And of course, shockwaves all over. Caught a lot of people by surprise. And at some point, I thought it was a joke when the news started circulating. People started saying, okay, who signed this? Who read it? Now it's not only signed, we have a face to it, reading this. And so what we're going to do is that we're going to talk about what happened, and we're also going to listen to the Permanent Secretary of the Sports Ministry. And of course, Austin, you will lead us through what will be the consequence of Nigeria pulling out. But first, let me start with the news as it is, as it came out today. Let's just quickly give that to our viewers. Just in case you missed it by any chance, we'll do our best to recap what happened. And this is what happened. The federal government has approved the withdrawal of Nigeria from participating in all international basketball competitions for 2 years with immediate effect. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Youth and Sports and Development, Ismaila Abubakar, explains that the decision is geared towards revamping the game from the grassroots as well as domestic leagues. The Permanent Secretary added that an interim management committee will be set up to oversee the administration of the game in the country. As it is, we have the Permanent Secretary saying just what I read, and so that it doesn't look like we're misquoting somebody or putting words into anybody's mouth. Let's just listen to the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Ismaila Abubakar. Then Austin will lead us through what the consequences of this will be, because for every action, there is a reaction. Let's listen to the Permanent Sec, then we'll come back for more Sports Tonight.
Following an ending crisis that plagued and nearly crippled development basketball in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the withdrawal of Nigeria from all international basketball competitions for a period of 2 years, immediate effect. The withdrawal of Nigeria is in order to concentrate efforts by government towards revamping the sport from the grassroots as well as domestic leagues, which have become mobile. This will also allow for the setting up of an interim management committee to oversee the management and development of the domestic basketball leagues in Nigeria, and to further address other related issues around the development and advancement of the game in Nigeria. Accordingly, the government intends to utilize this period of break to address all contentious issues among stakeholders. The terms of reference and membership of the interim management committee
All right, so that's Permanent Secretary Ismaila Abubakar. Also, let me allow you to take it from here. You listened. Yeah. What do you make of what you listened to? And of course, lead us through the obvious consequence of this action. And then, of course, Bolu is here as well to help us get some perspective to all of this.
Yeah, I mean, the PEMSEC just, he read a statement, he was told, go read it, deliver it, and that's what he did. But we know that the problems that have existed for a long time. I covered the Federation elections in 2017. And right there at the venue at the National Stadium in Abuja, I showed Nigerians a picture of the stand for the basketball elections, and there was no one there, no one. So it meant at the time, the Musa Kida faction and the Tijani Umar faction, they weren't ready for peace in basketball. That's what has brought us all the way to where we are. But before we get into the conversation proper, you mentioned the implications. So what are the implications for this 2-year suspension that Nigeria is getting into? I'll just run through some of them. And that's it right there, the D-Tigress. We know them. They are getting ready for the Women's World Cup that will take place in Australia in September. It means they would be withdrawn. If this ban goes on, the D-Tigress will not take part at the World Cup. Imagine, after struggling to qualify, gave their sweat, gave everything they had in that qualifiers, this is happening. 2, the D-Tigers would be expelled from the African qualifiers for the 2023 FIBA Men's World Cup that will be jointly hosted by Japan, Indonesia, and the Philippines. The D-Tigers and the D-Tigress would also be barred from qualifying tournaments for the 2024 Olympics Games in Paris, France. And that one is so heartbreaking. We'll come back to it. The D-Tigers and D-Tigress would also be barred from future Afro-Basket Championships. Yemi and Bolu, the D-Tigress, they are on track to breaking the record ever. They are on track for a 4-peat. Remember, they've done the 3-peat. Now they are going for the 4-peat. And if this ban goes on, they will not have that opportunity. That dream dashed. All Nigerian junior national teams would be barred from FIBA-organized competitions. Nigerian clubs would also be barred from future Basketball Africa League. And we're talking about this Basketball Africa League that is good for promoting league basketball in Nigeria. All Nigerians in FIBA committees would also be expelled. Goodbye. FIBA would suspend Nigeria from all of its activities for government interference. Now, this is the part for me. When we decide to now think and say to ourselves, what have we done with this 2-year suspension? FIBA will now come at you and say, okay, for imposing a ban, now take this so we're still likely to face a 5-year ban from FIBA after this 2-year suspension. So it's crazy all around if you take a look at it. I've been speaking on Twitter Spaces and trying to give an opinion about everything that has happened so far with this basketball crisis. And Yemi and Bolu, it's just a case of greed and excess. I've called it a tale of selfishness and foolishness from administrators who don't care about who think about themselves. The Kwesi deal brought about this situation where we are. So they saw small money and they started shaking. How do we take this money? And so it pushed them off track, and they will be struggling with basketball. I said it during the Olympics. You may remember I said they just don't care, that they will not go back. They will not change. They will not say, oh, let me put away selfish ambition and do this for players. Now, who is likely to miss out of the World Cup? The D-Tigress. Who is likely not to go for the qualifiers? The D-Tigers and the D-Tigress. We're not even talking about the grassroots, because we know that's one they don't even care. They don't send. They don't, as long as they have Nigerians who are abroad that are having international standards, they will train them, and because they are passionate about the motherland, they will come and play for Nigeria. So they know all of this and they just don't care. So we just hope that this will give these administrators that have been choking basketball in Nigeria a rethink. This is a time to reflect. They should all get into one room and say, shame on all of us. And then call the minister and say, we are ready to do the right things. We are ready for peace If they don't come to that actualization, if they don't come to that realization, even if they cancel this ban, what is happening with Nigeria's basketball will continue because it is filled with selfish and greedy administrators who know nothing about development. Yeah.
Austin, there's nothing too hard to what you have said. I want to leave it again. Let's go on a break. I like the way you landed, very smooth. I hope they're all listening. We'll go on a break and we'll come back for more. Sports Tonight. All right, welcome back. A lot has been said already. Austin has taken us through what will happen if this decision stands. So, Bolu, I have a question. I have a question for you. What was your immediate reaction? And I'm trying not to blame. There is enough blame that could go around. Even the sports ministry taking decisions. I mean, word on the street, I can't substantiate it, but word on the street is that they're leaning towards one side. But it's word on the street. I can't substantiate it. So I'll just leave it at that. But can anything good come out of this?
I listened to one of Austin's discussions on one of the Twitter space they had. He looked at something good from it. But again, now thinking about what will happen after, let's do a bit of a flashback. This problem started with the TJ Omar and Musakida battle, which could have been avoided, but for selfish reasons. We moved on, it dragged for about 3-4 years, then suddenly TJ stepped down, where everyone was excited, finally, let's move on. All these committees every day to me does not make any sense because we set it up every time we need to do something. And in the end, when you see recommendations, it's always like a Babio textbook and they never read anything at the end. Then this sport ministry set up a committee. Ad hoc committee arranged whatever, set up election dates, venue and everything. It was set up and agreed that everything will be done in Benin. Until about a week to the election, we heard a report that ministry said they should bring it to Abuja. The committee said, no, we are prepared for Benin. And everyone kept quiet, everyone went on. Until the election day, we had 2 separate elections. And from the reports we got, NOC representatives, ministry representative, FIBA representative, everyone had representatives in the election in Benin. We thought that was concluded. And I remember the message from FIBA that, oh, this is the guy. I remember checking FIBA website under Nigeria. The president's name there is Musa Kida. We thought this was done and dusted. Until we started hearing some stories that when you were on leave, that was weeks ago, months ago, myself and Celia listened to the sport minister talking about by next week, this will be solved. That was, I think, in February. This will be solved. This is the end of May. The conclusion we are hearing is you are cancelling everything. The first thing that came to my mind, who even said this to the president? That's the first thing that came to my mind. Then is approved. Like Austin rightly said, even if this 2-year ban stands, FIBA will be chilling. When you are done with whatever. Remember what happened to the 96 AFCON that we missed? When we're ready, CAF added to whatever we are going. So it does not make any sense because these guys hustled, qualified, they are chasing the winning 4 straight titles, World Cup, Olympics, everything. And beyond this, the truth is we may never have foreign-based players play for us anymore. I remember listening to Form Udoka. She told us, even off air, that the truth is Nigeria was a backup plan for her. That if she had gotten to the US women's team, maybe she would not have played for Nigeria. But she never regretted because she captained and everything. If my child wants to play basketball in the next maybe 10 years, and I read all these things, people were blaming Etisili for abandoning us to take a job in Alabama. Etisili will be smiling where he is now. That thank God I left. There is no, the positives would have been if we will go back to the drawing board, but we never have a board. So we only lie about the drawing board. We don't even have a marker to write on. So it is just selfish interest because I am trying to understand why do we have 2 factions. The other faction, the only time we hear him is if some silly media guys ask some funny questions. Oh, what do you think? Stop calling him president because his election, according to the paper, was not legit. Why do you keep... I listened to Mark Igoche once on an interview and I said to myself, it's just a pawn because it feels like they are just pushing him forward. The day of the said election, the minister was not even in any way. It was in Lagos Expecting Stadium. So sometimes it's hard to say, but it feels like the minister is even part of the problems we have. When you listen to the next interview, you probably hear him talk about Super Eagles, talk about NFF. NFF can stand alone without any interference. We have different sports, we have different federations that have problems. Nobody is saying anything about them. And one of the things they said, the space Austin was it will be important to have the ministry have a sit down with media guys. We may have wrong conclusions. We may have wrong understanding.
We already have.
Sit us down and talk to us. But unfortunately, we never get to have things like that.
You know, and just like us, it says, sometimes when you don't communicate with us, you leave us to reach conclusions. And when we already have those preconceived ideas and notions, whatever you do to us will look suspicious. And this is where we are right about now. And I said, there's enough blame to go around. But I think the stakeholders should, just like you said, and you know, as it is, there's nothing to add. Lock yourselves in the room, scream and shout at each other, do whatever you want to do. You know, just let the emotions fly, let it go. But think of the guys whose livelihood you're ruining. Think of what you're doing to basketball in Nigeria, because this will not end well. It's not going to end with these 2 years. It won't end with these 2 years. FIBA will wait for us. When we are done, they're going to slam more.
So because right now, FIBA, particularly FIBA Africa, they will be, in a way, blaming themselves too, that they weren't proactive and they were, to an extent, listening to one side. I think their conflict resolution skill wasn't top notch with this
suspect.
MBBF crisis. Yeah, they didn't do their background findings properly. And when a problem was a major problem, you were still saying that Musa Kida is the correspondent, you know? And the other faction, to show you, Yemi, that they want war, they want violence, they want scatter it all if I'm not getting anything. And that's why they will be dancing somewhere now that now no one has it. Meanwhile, Sarah Ogoke is worried, Promise is worried, Amy is worried, players are all worried at what is going on, what's all this, and they have mates who will be saying, you mean with the way you guys struggle to get a ticket, this is what your country can give to you? You know, it's quite sad. The ministry now needs to take leadership. For instance, the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development opened that stadium, gave the approval for elections, and then you know that we have crisis in the MBBF, and the minister wasn't even on ground on that day. And the ministry didn't even talk. You reach out to people to say what's going on, either from this faction or that faction, even to an extent the ministry, and people are not talking to you. These are the issues. People who are transparent, who are accountable, who understand public service duty to the people. And we are the media, we're the watchdog to the society. So it's a shame if we reach out to you to say what's going on, no one is talking. And this is what they've been doing since 2017. I remember covering the election, and for 5 months, Yemi, I was chasing all of these guys who were involved in this. At the time, Olumide Oyedeji was just coming out of the national team, so it was like the only available person. I remember when we had Babs Ogunade on live TV, and because we're having the conversation, just trying to make headway, he left the interview because he didn't like the way it was going. It wasn't suiting. So all of these things, people need to reflect and say, now that the federal government has taken this decision, what's the gain for us? What's the gain for our children's children? What have we done to the basketball environment? You know, by the time they have that thinking and come to a conclusion that, look, it's basketball first before whatever we can give, then that's when we might just start, you know, getting out of this difficult situation.
My worry
is sad. I struggle to even talk about it.
My worry, if I get the last say on this, my worry, we've talked about conflict resolution, but who's going to be in the middle? If the sports ministry is seen by one side as being partial, as being as tilting to one side, I don't think we're going to have an open and sincere conversation. Probably we need the three parties to sit on one side and an independent. It's a shame, really, but that's where we find ourselves. Because if you feel that somebody is opposed to you and the person comes into the conversation as a mediator, personally, I won't take whatever we say seriously. I'll just go out and
this is a senseless. I mean, this is such a senseless fight. Like, sometimes you wonder what are they fighting about. At the time they were still having this crisis, at the thick of this crisis, the D Tigress went on to win a triplet. Say, guys, sit up. What are we doing? We can be giants of Africa and giants of the world. Stop this distraction. Can administration and management be top-notch? But we ignored it. Greed and excess. They want to have it all. And that's the problem. Unless those guys say, we have been of no good to basketball in Nigeria, let's just get out. These problems will persist. And the ministry is only open to the sort of information that they get from this guy. So if one group is always going and talking, and the other, for instance, when they were doing the amendment of the Constitution, the group that knows that they are really aggrieved kept away. Constitution was amended. You came out and say you want to fight. What is going on? So now that this ban has come, ministry, don't fold your hands. Bolu, I think what the ministry needs to do, and I need your recommendation also, let's speak to them. Don't fold your hands and say, okay, we've banned it or wait for two years. This is where the proper work should start. Remember, they can make good use of conflict resolution, PR, and bring all stakeholders, particularly the players and ex-players, to see a way out of this for Nigeria.
Yeah, but just a little, because I mean we're out of time, but just say something.
It would have been interesting what Austin said on sitting down to do, but it feels like they don't even care, because like you said, if there are already words on the street that I favor one part, it's almost impossible for anyone to trust my conclusions from everything. Now, we can still solve this thing now. It's just about making a stand. If it means setting up an election for tomorrow. Because the truth is, you can help without even being an administrator. But that's what most of them don't want to know. That's what many of them don't want to hear. I must be the one at the end of their face. Because at the table. These players are the ones suffering. Especially those who have the job on the part. Like, whatever happens, basketball or not, permanent secretary has his job. These guys will not play. They will not compete. Just look at the Tigers, for example. No money issues here and there. They are still doing well, raising the flag of the country high. We had hopes with the team at the Olympics, and everyone's conclusion that followed basketball is, with these young girls, everything will probably do much more at the next Olympic Games. Unfortunately, if this thing stands, it feels like we will not go. We can still solve these things. It's just about let everybody sit across each other. Fight out what you need to fight out. Nobody will hear your conclusions. So long you are there alone, then solve this. If you are thinking about the athletes first, I believe they will find solutions to this problem.
All right, we're struggling to get words to just do us a favor, sit in a room, sort this out, and it's a mess already. We have to move on with the show, really. We're pressed for time. All right, let's just talk about football. I mean, football was engulfed in a similar crisis. One way or the other, we managed to just get out of the lead. But one of the problems still lingering is what the Professional Football Association is bringing to the fore again. They are talking, and I think we need to listen. The Professional Football Association of Nigeria has called for restructuring of the Nigerian Football Federation ahead of the elections in September. They say, of course, they embarked on an awareness campaign at the National Stadium to draw attention to the demands for the reforms in the administration of football in Nigeria. However, canvassed for less cumbersome, more democratic, less expensive, more transparent, more inclusive structure that would guarantee equity within the football ecosystem. All right, that's a mouthful. Let's listen to the representatives of the Professional Football Association of Nigeria. Let's listen to what they have to say, and hopefully the administrators will heed this call so that we don't return to the trenches.
What we are saying is that we want a change in the way football is administered in this country. There is too much capital flights. Boys from the grassroots are being sold daily. The funds don't come back. The clubs are being funded by government. The government does not even care. Don't talk about the accountability. We want these things to change. And driving this change, we believe that we, as part of the federation, because we are part of the bodies that constitute the Nigerian Football Federation. The Nigerian Football Federation is constituted by 5 bodies: the players, the coaches, the referees, the clubs, and the state FA chairman. As we speak today, the statute is skewed to one side. They have 37 representatives in an assembly of 44. We say that can never work.
We can no longer entrust our destiny in the hands of people who do not even appreciate the pitfalls that we pass through as professional footballers. Because one, at the age of 35, that is when we are retired. That is when a banker, a lawyer starts his profession. So what happened to us between 35 and 70 and 100 years? Where else do you want me to go and work? Secondly, if you are a quality player after secondary school, football has the power to remove you from the mainstream of education. Thirdly, under 90 minutes, you can have an injury that can just terminate your career. These pitfalls are global, but elsewhere, because of the people who are inside, they have solution to these pitfalls, inbuilt mechanism. For example, what is working? Nothing is working. The Player Status Committee is dead as far as I'm concerned. As I speak with you, over £500 million is being owed Nigerian coaches and players.
Welcome back, Bull. It's only fair we allow you to say something. The trophy tour, we saw Kaka there. It's going to go around. Let's not remind ourselves to qualify for the World Cup, but it's something good.
Even though I don't know what Austin was talking about when he said something that will bring smiles to our face. Whose faces? We are not there. There's no smile yet. But for those that are surprised that two persons touched the title and the other didn't touch, you have nobody can touch the World Cup except a past winner or the president of a nation. So if you are expecting to hold the World Cup, don't bother. It's not the UEFA Champions League. But again, like we've said over time, Qatar doing something beautiful. They just want to be unique, to be different. Yep. Trophy tour is way ahead of time. But hopefully the plane can land in Nigeria. Let's see it and before it moves on. But again, to agree a bit with Austin, I'm sure most of us can't wait to see the World Cup. Everything we've seen, everything we've read and heard about Qatar, let's see the event itself, and hopefully it beats everything we've had in the past. And we'll definitely, with or without Nigeria, we'll definitely enjoy the World Cup. We will enjoy the World Cup.
All right, so that's it. With or without Nigeria. But it still pays, I have to be honest, still. All right, let's move on. Let's move on now. Of course, we're pressed for time, so we'll probably have to let some things go. But let's quickly talk about Haaland. That's our next port of call, and I'm very sure Austin is going to tell us what the coach of Dortmund is saying. It's the worst-kept secret. And Manchester City have confirmed the agreement. It's a matter of time. Pep can't say anything till July 1, but we know it's done.
It's done, you know. It's everywhere. And I mean, Dortmund good money, so it's good deal for both parties. So for me, I just want to see how this guy will fit into this star-studded City team. You know, I feel for him because he's young. He's just 21 years. I mean, he's had a beautiful, glorious career already. And I'm just, for this sort of player, you expect him to get on, sustain the momentum. With the English Premier League, sometimes when the sort of reportage that's put out there doesn't favor you or it can knock you off. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. We've seen big players come to the EPL and they don't, you know, perform. So there's some sort of pressure underneath that we're not seeing now. But let's just stay with Dortmund. They're reacting to the exit of Haaland from their team to Manchester City. Let's listen to the coach. We'll be right back.
Dortmund will not stop to play football after Erling left us. He decided to do his next step with City. We wish him all the best for that. I think he gave us a lot. He gave us goals. He gave us energy. He's a player who always wants to win. I think he still can improve things. He's still young, but again, we wish him all the best on his way. I know him a little bit longer. I had him in Salzburg too. So yeah, we will follow his way. I think we will meet again. I hope we will meet again, and all the best to Erling Haaland.
That's it, Marco, saying goodbye and wishing the player all the best. They might meet again, maybe in the UEFA Champions League, and then the guy might just, you know, prove a point to them that he's still solid. But let me get Bolu's views. Yeah, I mean, in a way, I worry for this guy. Bolu, I don't know, coming to Manchester City, do you think there will be any form of pressure on this young player?
Well, I'm not worried though. Premier League champion 2022-2023, Manchester City. If without a prolific striker like this, they've scored about 150 goals or thereabout. This season alone, City have scored 5+ goals in 11 games in the Premier League. Just this season. You don't score 5 goals twice in a season normally. They've scored 11 times. So I think it's just about bringing in how they used to play when they had Aguero. And luckily, Haaland is not a striker that stays in a position like Lewandowski does. He's, to an extent, maybe kind of similar, definitely not the same level with Karim Benzema. Moves about, he's mobile, he's built, he's huge, and he's a bully. At the same time, he is fast. So I think it's just about slotting into a style. Remember Dortmund. Dortmund are not the team that just plays on the counter, just say no. Dortmund also play free-flowing football. So I think he should enjoy himself. And a striker in a Man City squad, your job is not too much. Just get into positions.
Your job might be too much. Your job might be too much, Bolu. That's why I worry for him, because in that act, they might say, this is Fernandinho's space. Don't come here. You must wait here. So you see, because he's a young guy, and there's that constant reminder that we scored goals and probably won the league title without striker. Now that you're here, they would want more.
He'll just have to befriend the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, befriend the likes of a young guy like him as well in Phil Foden. I think he should be fine. Why? Because there are players who I believe love football, and having a player like that, I'm sure every one of them, each player know what the problem is. They know what the media will also be saying. It's just about trying to make it work for him. In a City team, they create tons of chances. Haaland can score. De Bruyne is a brilliant crosser of the ball. Foden is a magician with the ball at his feet. I think he should pass. Although, to an extent, I agree with you, because looking at their game yesterday, after they scored 4, nobody was passing to each other. Everybody just started going on their own, Mahrez and co. So there could be that problem. I think overall, if City find a way to tell them I'm the boss and I want you to play this same way like we'll be played, it's just a matter of slotting in someone to replace Aguero. I think he should be fine. I think he'll be fine at the end.
I think so too. I think so too. Just like the coach said, all the best to Haaland. All right, before we go, let's save the best for the last. Let's take some tennis. We have just about a minute to wrap things up on the show tonight, and we have to pick from the bunch. And I think what we're picking is Novak Djokovic, of course, defeating Stanislas Wawrinka. Stanislas Wawrinka has been coming back. He's been trying to get back to the stand. We used to call him Stan the Man, but it didn't happen for him here. Djokovic needed just 75 minutes to dispatch Stanislas Wawrinka 6-2, 6-2 in chapter 26 of their long-running rivalry. I don't call it a rivalry because it looks like it's one-sided. But Bolu, as we go, Stan has won a couple of Grand Slams, I think 2. Do you still see him with all the injuries he's had?
I think the best he can get is, even if it's TP 1000, I don't think he can. I think maybe 500 is good enough for him. And with Djokovic, this is probably another chance for him. Remember, he lost the last final to Nadal. Now Nadal is out. He just lost some 10 minutes ago to Shapovalov. So maybe this is Djokovic's time to get back and win his 6th Italian Open. And
Austin, my pain, we are all trying to see Nadal, Djokovic on clay before French Open. And these two guys are conspiring.
They're avoiding each other.
not to let it happen.
Maybe they're keeping the best, for the last. Maybe we'll see them during the French Open, And don't forget, these competitions, particularly with champions, they are very strategic in their approach. Yeah. Don't be shocked that it's tactical. They know what they're doing, because we always expect them to win. And in their own way, they must take some pressure out of themselves just to keep the best for the Grand Slam.
Okay, we'll wait and see. Just let's have both of them again. All right, that's the show today. First, let me thank Bolu Omoni for his time on the show today. Bolu, always good having you here.
Good pleasure.
All right, that's the show. We do thank you for allowing us into your rooms, into your living room without knocking. It's a privilege we'll never take for granted. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll be back here again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.
We'll be back tomorrow, of course, but remember, you can keep the conversation going on Twitter, channels _ sports. That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonak. And in everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.